What's up, guys? Welcome to this month's project. I know it's been a couple of months, so I do apologize about that. I've been kind of busy with this and that, and actually the holdup was I was wanting in this video, I was wanting to have a sweet stash for you guys. So I've actually been growing this out for the last 2 months, so that was actually the holdup. But this month's project is just a little wood desk that I'd actually found on the side of the road. Somebody had thrown it out, busted the legs off, so it didn't have any legs, but it was a nice solid wood top that I knew would be a great desk. I just had to figure out a solution for the legs. So stay tuned, and I'm going to show you what I end up doing as far as the legs go and what kind of finish I end up putting on the desk. Alright, so here's the desk that I'm going to be working with. Found it free on the side of the road. Somebody had thrown it out with their trash. They had actually busted the legs off, I guess just to make it easier for the trash people to pick up. So it doesn't have any legs. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of idea to replace those. Overall, it's in really good shape. You know, it's solid wood, so that's always a plus. It's got a few blemishes here and there, but that's fine, you know, because my overall look's going to be an old antique rusted look anyway, so I'm not worried about that. But first thing I need to do is go ahead and get this thing cleaned up. It's got a lot of just dinginess to it, cobwebs, stuff like that. Probably going to clean up the top a little bit just with a sander. Alright, so I just got done finishing sanding the top, and it's like came out really nice and smooth, except for this one little part right here. I'm actually going to go ahead and use some wood putty, and wood putty is really easy to use. And to use it, you're just going to go ahead and fill this in. You don't want it to be perfectly smooth once you fill it in, because once it dries, you're going to come back in a little while and go ahead and sand it down to make it smooth. So just go ahead and get some in the groove. And you can go ahead and start smoothing out a little bit, but don't worry about getting it perfect. Alright, so while the wood putty dries on the top, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the legs. And this is what I decided to do. I actually just got these decorative fence posts that are actually long enough to where I'm able to cut just one of them into two different legs and use one for the front and one for the back. And the idea I have is to use this decorative part for the front portion of the desk, and then just the square part for the back legs. And I just think it'll be a good alternative to instead of buying those expensive already pre-made legs that they sell at the hardware store. I just think it'll be a cool idea. So I'm going to go ahead and get these I'm going to go ahead and get these cut to the lengths that I need. And once that's done, the top should be ready to go ahead and finish up, do a final sanding, and then I can go ahead and attach these legs. Alright, so I got all the legs cut down to the length I need. Next thing I need to do is just attach these, and I think they're going to look really cool. I like the way this is styled and everything like that, so once I get them attached and get it flipped, I think it's going to look really cool. But I do need to get them attached, and I'm just basically going to use the technique that they used on the original legs. They just had a bolt that went into the back side of the leg right here. So with these new legs, I just marked it, drilled a new hole, and then I'm using these big thick lag bolts that'll go at least halfway into the leg, and it should give it some sturdiness. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then I'll be ready to move on to decorating and painting or whatever I decide to do. Alright, so I just finished attaching the legs, and I think it's looking really cool. I think those legs look perfect, you know, with the mismatched legs on the back opposed to the front. And as you can see, it's made a little bit higher than like a normal desk, because the person I'm making it for wanted it to be where they could use like a bar stool and sit, and then also stand, and it be, you know, a perfect level to do projects and stuff like that. So it's a little taller, which was good, being able to use legs like I did, because I could just make them any length I wanted, and I wasn't like limited to whatever length, you know, if I purchased already a pre-made one. So that worked out really good. So the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and start painting it and stuff like that. I got a few ideas, you know, and nothing's set in stone, so I'm going to try things out and see how it looks. Things could change, but right now the idea is to probably leave the top like a bare wood. I'm going to stain it like a dark color, but not use any paint. I'm just going to stain the top and then use all the paint on the bottom portion, which, as far as the colors go, I have some whites and some blues and some grays that I'm going to use, and then really distress it, and then probably use some dark wax. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Alright, so I just finished up that blue color, and while that dries, I'm going to get started on the top. And I was just trying to come up with an idea, because I plan on, you know, leaving it bare wood with just using stain. I remember seeing on the internet somewhere where this lady had drew on the top and then used stain to kind of make it look like artwork. So I'm going to try that out, see how it works. All right, to get this done, I'm not going to use just a rag initially to rub this on. I'm just going to use one of these little small artistic paint brushes. And with the design I have, I'm just going to put it on part of it. And with stain, the longer you let it set, the darker it gets. So I'm going to have sections of it where I let it set longer, and then I'll rub out some of it quicker than I do some portions of it, and it's going to kind of give it this shaded look. So I'm going to attempt it, see how it works. So I'm going to get started using this little paintbrush. Alright, so on this part, I'm sorry I'm unable to explain a little more in depth on what I'm exactly doing, because I really didn't know what I was doing, so I was just kind of having to wing it and figure it out as I go. But maybe on a future project, if I do this again, I'll actually be able to explain step by step what I'm doing. Alright, so I just finished the picture part of the top, and I think it turned out really cool. This was just using stain, using that technique where I just put it on thick and then kind of faded it out, and I was able to come up with this, and I think it turned out really cool, just considering I've never attempted anything like this before. It really wasn't that difficult. It was just kind of intimidating because it was using stain, and once you put that stain on that bare wood, I mean, it's on there, so I didn't really have, you know, the opportunity to really mess up a lot. You know, I pretty much had to get it right on every time, so I think it turned out cool. Now I need to come up with the idea to kind of frame it, because, you know, I just did the picture on the inlay part of this, and I got those outside boards that I need to come up with the idea to frame it. I'm going to stay with just the wood look, so I'm not going to paint it, you know, with just paint. So I'm going to use stain, and you know, I have a few different colors, and I think I'm going to start off with the lightest first, because you can always start light and then go dark if you don't like it the way that the light looks. So I'm going to start light, and we'll start with the sun bleach that I have. It's kind of that like grayish look. I'm going to stain it, see how it looks, and then go from there. Alright, so I just finished up with the sun bleached gray, and as you can see, it came out really light, and I'm not really feeling it. You know, I was couldn't decide whether light would look good or the dark would look good, but like I mentioned before, you know, I could at least start light and always go dark. So I tried out the light, don't really love it, so I'm going to go dark now. And what I have is this, the color is Kona, which is going to be super dark, so go ahead and get that on there and see how it looks. Alright, so I just finished up that first layer of Kona stain on the top, and as that dries, I'm going to go ahead and put the last color on the bottom portion. And like I showed you before, I painted all these first layers, just the entire bottom, you know, complete. And I'll eventually get to the point where I sand away some of these top layers and it'll show some of the under layers. But for the last color, I want to use this. It's called Desengulf Green, and it's almost like this color that I have on there, but just a little bit lighter. And just to give this top layer some contrast, what I kind of plan on doing is it'll probably be just a lot of experimentation, you know, messing around with it, see what looks good, what doesn't. But, you know, I'm not going to paint the entire thing with this color. I'm just going to paint certain sections, use different techniques. You know, I might put a thick layer on right here and maybe dry brush right here, and just fill in some of these little grooves with this color and just kind of basically make it look kind of splotchy. So I'm going to get started on that, see how it looks, you know, and if worst case scenario, if it doesn't look that great, I'll just paint the whole thing this color and then, you know, distress it at the end like that. So go ahead and get putting on this color, see how it turns out. Alright, so I just finished up doing that lighter color blue over that dark blue. You can see I kind of put it on there nice and splotchy, and you know, it looks kind of crazy right now, but it'll actually be okay once I get the sandpaper out and I start blending it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too worried about the way it looks kind of goofy. But and also while I was doing that, I kind of decided I want to add a different color just into these little sections right here, just right there, and then that other little section. And I think it'll kind of look kind of cool. So I don't know, I'm going to try out a few different colors. Maybe the first one will be cool. I'm going to try out this like yellow color. So go ahead and put that on there and see how that looks. Alright, so I'm ready to get started with the distressing part, and what I got going on here is I'm going to start off using the power sander. I have a number 80 grit sandpaper on here, which is a really coarse sandpaper, and the reason is I want to start off just with that really good bite from the sandpaper and just really knock down a lot of the distressing initially with this, And then once I get all that taken care of, I'll go back with like a 150 or a 220 and just kind of hand sand it, basically blending it, just so it doesn't look so obvious that it was just done with a power sander. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and get started on. Alright, so I just finished all the distressing, and as a final step, and I actually discovered this by accident, I used that sun bleach stain that I have, that's that light gray color, and after I distressed everything, I just rubbed like a thin layer of that sun bleach on there, and it actually gives it like a whitewashed look, you know, because usually if I try to attempt to do a whitewash on the final step, I'll usually mix up like a white and just really water it down and then kind of rub it on like a glaze. But by using that stain, it's already mixed up and it's really easy to apply, and I just kind of rubbed it on, and as soon as I put it on, I was just rubbing it off just so it wouldn't go on really thick or anything. So this is what I ended up with. I even did it on the top because the top was looking so new looking with it having that nice dark stain that I actually lightly sanded it a little bit, and then I added that sun bleach on there, and it kind of really ties the top into the bottom. So I think it turned out pretty cool. So I'm done with all the distressing and everything like that. Next thing I'm going to want to do is to put wax on the bottom, clear wax, and then I'm going to use dark wax to really age the bottom. And then on top, I'm actually going to use a polyacrylic high gloss. And I usually don't use the gloss finishes, but with this top, you know, having the design and everything, I think it'll make it really pop with a nice shine to it. So I'm going to use a polyacrylic, which is just a water-based polyurethane on top, wax on the bottom, and then apply dark wax, and then that should be the finishing steps to this project.